Ladies and gentlemen, good evening and welcome to Bucks County Curling Club for our third live stream of the 2019 Child's Challenge. Sorry about the slight delay. We're still figuring things out here. I'm Ian Alexander, happy to be accompanied by my best broadcast buddy, Dave Schmel. How are you, Dave?
I'm doing fantastic, Ian. Happy to be here with you today.
Good. Well, we've got draw number 3 for the Childs at 7:50 this evening, Thursday evening. First games for all of these teams on the ice now. We're webcasting our featured sheet all weekend, which is Sheet B. The information about the draw, the teams, and so on, the schedule, is on the website, curlbucks.org or buckscountycurlingclub.org. Who do we have playing tonight, Dave?
Well, this evening we have Bucks County Curling Club, skipped by Lee Alexander, who may or may not have an ally in the booth.
I hope she does.
Against the South Shore Curling Club from Boston, skipped by Jane Sousa.
Good. We've find ourselves partway into the first end. Where are we, Dave?
It looks like we are on the first skip rocks for South Shore, so it appears that Bucks County has a hammer throwing the blue rocks. So the first one's away, with Bucks County currently lane 1, just sputting the button. And this shot from South Shore wrecks in the guard and rolls to the edge of the 8.
So Bucks needs to put that back, protect their shot rock.
Absolutely, because that's a pretty lonely rock there on the button right now. So even though you want to always score 2 with the hammer, it's looking pretty lonely right now if you were to leave that exposed.
Here comes the skip, Lee Alexander. With the position of the broom, you wonder if they're not expecting a lot of curl or planning to throw more weight than you would expect.
Yeah, that seems to be a little bit narrow for my taste, Ian. We've been experiencing a good 4 to 4.5 feet of curl on a draw of this type. So I would...
looking at the handle she's throwing, they're planning to hit the red.
Okay, that's another way to go.
Stone's halfway down the sheet. Sweepers are on it. Vice Sarah Fry calling for the sweep. And that drives it back far enough
to not really do much, Ian.
Unfortunately, the shooter rolled. So sort of an unchanged situation.
Yeah, that's not exactly the outcome you were looking for there. You would be hoped to have stuck the shooter around the 8 foot for a third shot there.
And
it looks like that Jane's planning to draw down to shot Stone right now.
That call makes sense to me.
She wastes no time with this delivery.
Sweepers start to go.
That's starting to cut pretty hard.
Yeah, it looks like it may be a tad on the light side. Well, Lee Alexander has hammer, so that's going to give her an opportunity to add another counter this end.
Yep, needs a full half of the 4 foot, the yellow circle.
Debating with Sarah about how much ice to call.
I'd still like a touch more than that, but
I think it would be safer.
as we're waiting for Lee to come down, Ian, I'd like to thank you and everybody who helped you out for all the effort you put into making this live streaming ability happen.
Well, we have had a lot of help, as you indicate, Dave. It's been a ton of fun to put up the cameras, run the cable, spend a little time up on the scissor lift, and then the tricky part is getting the cameras aimed.
Oh, yeah.
It doesn't take much, and they move way off where you think they're supposed to be pointing. So we did have some hours, but right now we're seeing it work, and it's very satisfying.
Oh, yeah, because there's a lot of distance involved there for sure.
Yeah, obviously we have 2 cameras mounted above the houses, and then 2 cameras at the ends of the rink.
This one's coming down, and it looks like it's wrecking all day.
Yeah. So they're going to get one with the hammer in the first end. And South Shore will have hammer coming back toward the glass.
So you said we have 1 camera looking each direction?
Right. Total of 4. 1 camera mounted on the top of the warm room looking at the scoreboard end, and 1 camera mounted up above the scoreboard pointed back toward us. Then we have some fancy dancy software that mixes it all together and makes 1 video image,
which we know exactly how to use.
Well, we know how to set it up, and we think we know how YouTube works, but we're still learning how to get the 2 to talk to each other.
So it looks like the first call is for a center guard here.
Pretty standard stuff. Stephanie Johnson, lefty, throwing lead for Lee.
Stephanie's in her 4th year of curling. This looks just a touch toasty right now. And it is going to skitter with some sweeping.
Will she get it through?
All the way through.
Yeah, boy. They just don't seem to stop.
Well, the ice has been running pretty keen for the first few draws right now. Been around about 25 seconds from what I've timed.
And we are coming off a fresh scrape, thanks to the ice crew.
Absolutely. Joe Phillips, our lead ice technician this weekend, with lots of help, of course. And we have well, it's called to be a corner guard. Looks like it's going to settle in just to the back of the 8-foot. Not so bad. All the way back to 12. Really running quick. Lee calling for a center guard.
Stephanie's rock is coming down the sheet. Getting a little bit of help from the sweepers, but they're happy with the weight in general.
This is coming down. It's going to be just skittering into the house. It looks like it's biting on the top of the 12.
Yeah.
The skips will confer and agree that it's on.
Okay.
That would be the one time you're allowed to measure a stone prior to the end of the end.
South Shore has elected to take that rock out, so they're coming down with a little bit more pace. And they weren't able to hold it.
it will still be South Shore sitting 1, with Bucks now on the 4-foot, halfway in the 12. Now Lee's asking Marcia to draw under this rock. Marcia Limlaw is a member of both the Bucks County Curling Club and the Philadelphia Club, like your skip Lee Alexander.
Marcia's stone looks like it may have a little bit of extra zip.
She also has the unfortunate distinction of being a Dallas Cowboys fan.
Well, we curlers try to be forgiving.
Yeah, not so much on that.
Yeah, the old hack weight draw. I threw a couple of those earlier this week.
Indeed. So it looks as if Jane is going to try to seize the opportunity to draw underneath the Bucks County Curling Club stone, provide a little bit of cover, and lay 2. Yes, Jack, I agree. Boo Cowboys.
Sweeper's giving it a little bit of help, and they bring it into the top 8, not behind cover.
And Lee calls for the hit.
It's going to come over and get a little piece, Dave.
That looks pretty good.
In the house. Oh, yeah, that's coming right over almost to the nose. Very, very nice.
Yeah, it's 100% good. And sweeping over, that's really good because you get some backing against it.
Yep. Tougher to get a rock out if there's something behind it.
Lee deciding to shed a layer. It's a warm day outside, 61 degrees when I came in. The ice shed, our ice shed is not climate controlled, so it varies greatly based on the outside temperature.
Fortunately, due to the huge volume, it does so pretty slowly, which helps the ice quite a bit.
So the hit's on its way.
Is it going to overcurl?
It is going to jam.
Well, this leaves Lee Alexander's team in a situation where they got to make a choice. They can tap the red one out and sit 3, but then they've got both of the important rocks behind the tee line, and that gives South Shore an opportunity to come down, freeze on them, and negate all 3 of the blue stones.
Yeah, it looks like the choice here is to draw down to the red stone.
It's a good option.
That is just a touch light, though.
Taking an end or two to dial in the weight.
Absolutely, it's a little different than a typical league night because we've already had 2 draws, then we had a scrape behind it, and it tends to be a little bit different than when we just play our usual weekday draws. South Shore trying to come in and just be in front of it. Looks like they're a little bit heavy. They're going to be all the way down to theirs and actually knock it out. So we really just traded rocks there and just moved up 1 stone.
Yeah, there's the slight silver lining is they're a little bit closer to the top of the house, but Still sitting behind the tee, which actually makes coming down, sitting on that for the Alexander rink more advantageous. First one to get to the tee line wins in this case.
Oh, absolutely. You're just shrinking the scoring area in this situation. That needs to bend.
It's just not going to come over quite enough.
Now
it's got enough juice to go right on through.
Yeah, I think we're just a little bit ambitious with the sweep there.
Seven rocks in the barn so far this end.
And that brings up third Michelle Landry. This is Michelle's 5th year of curling. That's coming around quite nicely. Looks to be just a touch light though. So that will leave the door open for Alexander at Bucks County to get right back in there.
With Sarah Fry here holding the broom, it's Lee's first stone of the second end.
And Lee settles into the hack.
I like this ice call a little bit better than what we've been seeing, Dave.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, because, you know, kind of learned her lesson. It wrecked a couple times. The key is to wait for growth. We've been seeing a lot of late finish lately here at our club. But that's...
Is this going to bleed off enough weight to stick around?
No, I think it just had a little bit too much weight. It actually just kind of got thrown through the curl there a little bit there, Ian.
Just through a couple of inches. This gives South Shore a chance to put something in the way. They'd love a rock in the top of the house, but the top of the house seems a little bit elusive for some of our players so far in this game.
Indeed, and you really want to be in front of the tee line because that's where all the control is.
First skips rock for South Shore.
Jane Souza, she's in her 5th year of curling.
A little bit outside, and I think the sweepers ought to be helping that.
I think this needs some help right now. It's good if you sweep it. You got to go. I think you got to go. That's going to serve its purpose pretty well.
Indeed.
Does give a chance to sneak in there. Right now, it appears they contemplated the other turn, but now they're going to go back to throwing the in turn.
Yep. They've lost the backing of the rock in the back 4, back 8. So now they've got to throw a draw to the tee line.
Of course, the in turn for a right-hander being the clockwise rotation. It took me a long time, Ian, to really get into that in-turn, out-turn deal.
Well,
I used to always say, this away or that away.
Yeah, the in-turn, out-turn counterintuitively refers to the direction the back end of the handle moves. That flummoxed me for a while, too.
At least it wasn't just me. So here comes Lee with her last. Line looks pretty decent. Might have to go with some now. Here they come.
Oh boy, it looks like it's over curling a bit.
That is going to be all over the guard.
And South Shore is going to have quite a bit of real estate for their last rock.
Yeah, but they're going to have a lot of real estate in places where not many rocks have went yet, so.
That's true. Jane Sousa getting ready to throw the final rock of the second end.
She's electing to throw a hit.
That's interesting.
So this is going to hit and stick, and it's going to roll off, and it's going to be just the single, which after two ends will leave the score tied at 1.
Well, we're off to a bit of a defensive struggle here for the first quarter of this game. Get ready to start the third end. Brought to you by the Lazy Handle Bar here at the Bucks County Curling Club. Supported by Nancy and Roland Gerritsen Vanderhoop.
We thank them very much for their sponsorship.
We do indeed. It's a beautiful place to hang out. For those less familiar with the game, 4 players on each team. Each player throws 2 stones. The teams alternate. So blue throws 1, red throws 1. And if you're not standing at the other end holding the broom or throwing, you're sweeping. So the answer to the age-old question, oh, are you a sweeper or a thrower? In most cases, the answer is both.
And so the first call is for a center guard. It slid a little bit deep to the back of the forefoot. The yellow ring that you see on your screen.
I'll be looking to see whether both teams can call a little bit more ice on a lot of these draw and guard shots, Dave.
It does look like that we have seen a good deal of under brooming right now, because frankly, I don't like where that broom is right now. I think it's going to overcurl a good bit.
Well, she is calling for a draw to the side of the house.
Well, she indicated like just about the inside edge of the forefoot.
Yeah, I think she's probably going to be well into the 8-foot, so I have to agree with you.
And here it is. We're already going to overcurl.
Well, if they want that to be a corner guard, they need to leave it alone. It's going to be too wide to be of much use.
Also, there you go. We're guarding the 8-foot. That can be useful.
Well, let's see what happens with South Shore putting the broom way out on the edge of the 12-foot circle.
So, Ian, for those who may be joining us that don't know curling, why would you throw a corner guard if you had the last stone?
Well, the basic strategy for those with the hammer, and that's simply our term for the last rock of the end, is to put your stones toward the sides and start off out front in the guard zone with what we call corner guards because they're not in the center, and then draw behind those. Try to keep the middle of the ice open so that if need be, you can draw the 4-foot circle in the middle with the last run.
Okay, so this call here has Stephanie drawing down to the red stone that's at the back of the 4-foot circle.
Of course, the opposite strategy applies for the team that doesn't have the hammer. They want to prevent the team throwing last with to prevent their access to the middle of the house. So they're going to try to throw center guards and clog things up in the middle.
This one is both wide and a little bit light. It's going to set up to be a second corner guard.
It's a little bit closer to the middle, so I like it better. And with curly ice, I think they can still get behind that, so it may well prove useful.
Absolutely. Now, right now we have South Shore defensively splitting the house against Bucks County, and I kind of like this play here because it lines you up for a force.
That looks like guard weight to me out of her hand, though. Sweepers tend to agree.
And as do I.
My goodness. Not very often you see a hog rock on ice this fast.
It is tough to do.
Here comes Marshall Limlaw into the hat.
Looking for the same call that was called for Stephanie to come down to the red stone and the 4-foot.
Now, I'll confess that I don't remember where the broom was on the last call for Lee, but I would still be inclined to move the broom out just a little bit more.
And it appears to be narrow right out of her hand. I don't know about the weight, though. Looks like there's all kinds of weight there.
Sweepers are still on it, I guess, for line. Yeah, there's Lee encouraging them. You can hear her voice on the ice mic.
I can hear it emphatically. It's going to be on the guard. Ooh.
An unfortunate roll that's going to half cover the red rock in the back of the house.
Yeah, not exactly the outcome you're looking for there. So we currently have 22 viewers, and I'd like to thank all 19 of my aunts and uncles for tuning in.
A little bit heavy on that one for South Shore.
Yeah, that skidded right on through.
Right on through.
Now, trying to throw the same shot with the same turn again. Wouldn't you like to go the other way right now, Ian?
I think I would, and I would throw maybe a touch more weight, although the last one bounced off the guard, didn't it?
It did.
But the red rock is in the back of the house. It's curly ice, so they may be able to get around there. Of course, with ice and stones that are curling this much, it's a little tough to get taps lined up.
Oh, just past the red rock. So South Shore elected to throw a guard here to block the way to the 4-foot for Bucks County. This one appears to be light. The sweepers are all over it. It's going to need a lot of work to get there. And now it's going to end up just short. It's going to be a hog stone. So bring up Sarah Fry. And let's see what Lee plans to do. Lee's calling the same shot, trying to come on down to the inside core of the red stone here.
Once again, this third end is brought to you by the Lazy Handle Bar, sponsored in large part by Roland and Nancy Gerritsen Vanderhoop, and we appreciate their support very much.
Absolutely. Many a golden monkey are appreciated. So Sarah's draw came to the back of the 12-foot there, so it leaves Buck sitting second and third, and South Shore will ask their third, Michelle Landry, to throw a guard again to cover that draw path.
Started a little bit on the inside and compensated by bringing the stone out a bit. Still looks just a touch hot.
It does look hot. It's starting to bend now, but I think it's going to just get it right on through.
We'll see whether Bucks wants to try that other handle. Lee was able to sweep that red rock through. And
I mean, I really think that's the way you got to go right now, but I think we're still calling the same thing. And this is something that, oh, okay, here we go. We do have a different call. We're gonna peel our own guard.
Okay. And if that happens, that's fine. And if by accident we tap it back, that'd be even better, I think.
So it looks like to be a control-ish heavy board weight.
Fair bit of handle, which will make it go a little farther and curl a little bit less.
And it is going to tick that over, though, and open it up, I believe.
Boy, they're both going to roll in. A very nice split.
That's not bad at all.
No, that's beautiful result.
Oh, I don't hate that at all. If I had a cowbell in my hand, I would ring it.
If you're interested, you can send us a comment on the YouTube channel. Oh boy. Some of the people in the warm room may be exercising that right to our detriment.
Yeah, we just lit up the entire peanut gallery in front of us.
Well, they need something to do, Dave.
They're already drinking even.
Oh yeah, that's enough.
Okay, so here comes Jane with her stone.
Sweeper's giving it a little bit of help. It looks like she's going for the hit again.
Another curious call. But you know what? I don't hate it here because that leaves you sitting 1 and 2.
Now the angle on those two red rocks is not bad. You could potentially have a slash double there.
That's a heck of a double, even for television there, Ian.
It is. It's kind of long, but I like the angle.
It looks like Lee is going to take a run at shot stone here.
Yeah,
that ice looks just a skosh tight for my liking.
I concur. Lee tends to throw a judicious takeout weight, which keeps the sweepers in the game. She doesn't throw bombs.
That's already narrow.
Well, they may luck out if this can curl enough to
they got to get off of that for that, though.
Yeah, they would have to let it curl.
And that's going to cover it up.
Oh, boy, they end up right in front of the red shot rock. An unfortunate outcome there.
Indeed. And Amy, you know which one.
Well, now the comments are.
It's a good thing it's a good thing this stuff is not archived. The videos up there, not the comments. I'm seeing the comments up there.
Final stone of the end for Jane Sousa of South Shore, not too far from Boston.
They're sitting the 2 right now, and they're going to look to make it very difficult for Lee to get in there. Looking to throw one somewhere around the center line. Looks just to be just a touch wide right now, and maybe a little bit heavy.
Jane throws with what websites sell as a delivery device, but what everybody in the game calls a stick. And there are some extremely competitive events where stick curling is not allowed, but in leagues and most of our bonspiels, they are welcome. And as long as you don't, as long as your stick is not still touching the stone handle when you cross the hog line, it's fine. It's a little interesting for the sweepers to figure out what's going on, because the slide curler is slowing down after they leave the hack, and a stick curler is accelerating most of the way to the hog line.
Absolutely, especially for those sweepers that rely on the stopwatch. It can completely wreak havoc on them.
Absolutely. One stone left in the third end.
There's a nice little pocket here for Lee.
Indeed there is. I think it would be difficult to draw through it.
Oh, don't challenge me to that. I've done that more than once.
Well, it is possible. Skating down now, getting ready to throw the hammer in the third end. And thanks again for supporting the third end of our webcast. Goes to the Lazy Handlebar here at the Bucks County Curling Club. Sponsored in large part by Nancy and Roland Gerritsen Vanderhoek.
Nostrovia.
Got a little bit more room for acceptable margin on this one. Sweepers are on it.
I think this looks pretty good, Ian.
I do too, Dave. It's going to be just to the left of nose. And roll.
There you go. Hold on
with the hammer.
Hold on, make the 1.
An appreciative response from the crowd here in the warm room.
And after 3, that will make the score 2-1 for Bucks County.
Skip's coming back toward the glass to hold the broom for the fourth end.
And looking around the house on sheet C, it appears that Plainfield has a 2-1 lead against their opponent from Rochester.
We need binoculars to see the team rosters on the glass.
And on sheet 1, it is Nutmeg with a, after 2 ends, with a 4-0 lead over Philadelphia. And on sheet D, Triangle has a 4-3 lead over their opponent from Long Island. So the first stone from Team Alexander comes into the house, and the takeout is called by Jane Sousa. I want him to come inside out at this. Ian, what preference do you have? Do you prefer coming from the out in or in out?
Well, on ice this curly, maybe you get a little bit more room coming from the inside out. Sure, she threw this one almost straight at the stone she wanted to hit, though, Dave.
Yeah, you know, didn't exactly hit the broom, and it's going to miss.
It's true for all of us, I think. It's a little tougher to hit the broom the faster you're sliding and the more weight you're throwing. Get better with that over time, of course.
Yeah, it's a common, I would say it's a pretty common fallacy that it's easier to hit a rock than to throw a draw. I would say it's the hit reliably and over time is tougher than the draw.
I think that's true because the draw really brings the sweepers back into play. If your draw is a little tight, you sweep hard when it's going away from the center line. If it's a little wide, you wait till it breaks and sweep it back toward the center line. You can also play with the weight by sweeping. So a much more flexible team shot, the draw.
And oftentimes the miss from the draw is an acceptable outcome, whereas the miss from the hit is just a lost rock.
Another good point. Team Alexander has put up a corner guard in front of, well, partially covering the shot rock. That's going to be very effective. Team South Shore now coming down to draw into the house. The sweepers are trying to add a little bit of distance to this one.
Don't know how much of that they needed, though.
May have underestimated the little stone that could.
Some irrational exuberance.
Alan Greenspan lives on.
He isn't dead yet, Ian.
Lives on in the semi-public eye of club curling webcasts. Now Bucks with the Blue Stones is looking to split the house. Provide 2 targets for South Shore so that they can't eliminate both at once.
Not really splitting the house here, though.
No, you're right. You're right. They would have thrown the other handle. We're going to get another guard out front.
It will be well guarded. And if I'm red right now, I think I'm just coming underneath all of that.
I concur.
And that is indeed the call. So here we have second Amanda Darling
with her first stone of this, the 4th end.
They're going from line now a little bit. They got to get past the guard, and they do.
Just by a whisker, and drag that red stone into a perfect freeze on the blue rock.
That is a fantastic shot right there.
Well executed by everybody. Call from Lee Alexander is to follow the model
and do that just as good, if not better.
Marshall Imlaw out of the hack. And the release. A little bit of an extension. Sweepers are on it. Are they going to be able to drag it far enough?
Yes, they are.
They
will be the shot stone behind the tee line. So the call is to follow it down again. Once the stone's behind the tee line, it's never getting any closer.
It's true.
A certain Garrettson Vanderhoop once told me that.
South Shore stone about 2/3 of the way down the sheet. The sweepers are giving it what's for, trying to drag it a little farther.
Looks to be tight on the guards.
It does, and it's also light, which gives Bucks County an opportunity now.
And the calls for the center-ish guard. Coming all the way out to the edge of the 12-foot here.
I don't mind the center guard at all. Now they're sitting one. No need to get greedy when you don't have hammer. So the job is to simply keep South Shore out of the 4-foot circle.
So Sarah Fry with the guard attempt. Brushes are on it hard.
Oh my goodness, I think this is going to come up a bit shy.
And that will indeed be a hog stone. Now, a stone does have to make it all the way across the black hog line, the entirety of the stone.
That's right, looking straight down on the back edge of it. You got to be able to see all of the hog line.
This game, horizontal lines are played like soccer and vertical lines are played like football. American football for you people who want to be like particular.
South Shore sweepers are bringing another red rock down the sheet. This one looks to have a little bit more pace to it. I believe that's going to come into the house. Will it get down to the shot rock?
I think it will. I think it will indeed.
That is a beautiful shot.
And it does leave South Shore sitting one at this point. I'd be inclined to do exactly what Lee just called and come right down in there.
Yep.
Giving up one is okay here. So if you populate the 4-foot with your rocks, it's going to be tough to give up a lot.
It's true. It's true. A messy house can be a little bit dangerous, but if you've got a fair bit of your own stones in there, oh, it looks like we may have overcompensated with the weight on this one. It's got to bleed off quite a bit and do a lot of curling to get over where it needs to be.
It's going to visit the house
briefly
and then say arrivederci. Why, thanks, Rob. I'm happy that you're thrilled that we're on the web stream.
We're not unhappy about it ourselves.
You know, getting the whole building built deal was kind of like our priority first. South Shore, I believe, calling a guard here. Waiting for it to curl. It's coming up now. It's going to be down in the house, at least to the 8-foot. And that is where it will settle.
I kind of like that better than a guard up top because South Shore has hammer this end, and I would prefer to see them be a little bit more aggressive than put up a center guard with vice rocks.
I actually like a guard right now if I'm Bucks. Right now, I want to leave them a guard to the open side of the 4-foot. Sorry, leave them a draw to the open side of the 4-foot. And
take away the tap.
Yeah, because the tap, you could end up having them sit a plethora.
Indeed. Without another blue stone somewhere closer to the center, we could end up looking at a score of possibly 4 red.
And that would not be an acceptable outcome.
No, when you don't have hammer, it's okay to give up 1. It's okay to steal 1. It's okay to have a blank. But the team with hammer really wants to get 2. The way this end is developing, South Shore may do that.
So Lee's here with her first stone. Still a skosh less ice than I would like for this call.
Sweepers think it has enough speed.
Oh, if they get hard, they might be able to get around. Oh no, it's a bit heavy.
It's around and beyond.
Indeed.
Well, Bucks has one more stone this end. With the broom out on the edge of 12. It looks like South Shore is going to try to add another counter.
So there are a record 40 teams for this Elizabeth Charles Bonspiel.
That's a wonderful result. It's great to see women out curling competitively, especially 5 and under women.
And obviously, a lot of that's a product of the recent Olympic success of the United States team in raising the interest in the sport.
We certainly saw it here, didn't we? Comes Jane Sousa's first rock.
Well, that's out there
in the fourth end.
Yeah, that's out there in uncharted territory, and it's showing it, and it's grabbing pretty hard right there.
I think they're going to have difficulty getting that one over the hog line. Unfortunately, once they start to go sideways, it gets tougher and tougher.
Yep. As we mentioned earlier, late finish is a signature of the ice here at Bucks County. We have stones that are relatively aggressive in their curl. It does appear that Lee is throwing something guard-ish here.
Well, what do you call here, Dave? Do you call the guard and try to hold them to one, let her have that draw on the other side of the forefoot?
Yeah,
or do you go really aggressive, make the tap for her, and try to eliminate one of the red potential counters?
No, I think I'm calling the guard here. I want to keep the game in control in front of me right now.
That looks like guard weight.
I think I wanted to hold that a little bit from line, but it's going to overcurl.
Sweep it early.
That's not the. Oh, that is the worst result. I'm sorry.
Unfortunately, yeah, that's going to push red to sit 2, with the possibility of adding a third. Now, we've seen Jane throw several hits in a place where hit was acceptable, but so was draw. Now we may find out what a draw looks like for her.
And, you know, it always comes down to the preference of what you want to throw. You know, do you feel more comfortable with the hit? Do you feel more comfortable with the draw? But ultimately, if you're going to be throwing the last stones, you need to be able to throw a stone in the vicinity of the forefoot.
Concur. Here comes the hammer from South Shore. Sweepers think it has enough weight.
This does need to touch the forefoot. And now they're on it. It is biting hard.
Did they wait too long?
It is biting real hard. They got to go. And it's going to come up just a bit light, so it will be just the 2. And South Shore will take a 3-2 lead after 4. So today, Ian, is Pi Day 314. Tomorrow is the Ides of March. And it also is the opening of the His and Hers Bonspiel at Bucks County Curling Club.
The registration, you mean?
The registration does open tomorrow. I believe it opens tomorrow at noon. I have the Bonspiel chair in front of me. That registration opens at noon tomorrow. Yes, indeed, Steve Johnson says. So if you do not know, the His and Hers Bonspiel is two 16-team Bonspiels, a men's 16-team Bonspiel and a women's Bonspiel running concurrently. It's a lot of fun, a good chance to be close to or far away from your significant other, whatever you like. And the registration opens at high noon tomorrow. It has proved very popular, and we'd love to have you over.
I got to play in that last year with 3 of my buddies, and we had a wonderful time.
I did as well, and I was fortunate enough to be on the A event winning team, so I was happy to do it.
Well, good for you. We did not have that good a weekend. Well, we had a wonderful weekend, but not that successful a result.
Well, I'll be counting on my team to carry the flag for me this year.
Now, we've been asked for an update on Sheet A, and the scoreboard says that the Philadelphia rink is up 4-1 over Nutmeg after 3 ends. They are sitting 1 without hammer, no, with hammer, I'm sorry, in the 4th end, and just added another guard. We've got 1 more stone for each team in the 4th end on Sheet A.
And also looking around the house over on Sheet C, it looks that we have
we're going to have to send a runner over to take a look.
We have Rochester with a 3-1 lead over Plainfield. And on Sheet D, well, it's been blown open a little bit. Triangle has opened up a quite the lead of 9-3 over Long Island.
Well, we're 4 stones into the 5th end now on our featured Sheet B of Bucks Team Alexander versus South Shore Team Sousa. Bucks' attempt to draw behind the corner guard came up just a little bit short, but that stone is outside the rings and safe for 1 more stone. We now use the 5-rock free guard rule, which means that a stone that is in play but is still in front of the tee line and not in the house cannot be hit out of play. It can be touched, tapped, bumped, nudged, massaged, but cannot be taken out of play until the 6th rock of the end.
Now, correct me if I'm wrong, Ian, but the first free guard rule was a 3-rock rule, correct?
You know, that sounds familiar. I'm not a curling historian, so I'll have to admit ignorance on that.
I think that was the Moncton rule.
I do recall hearing that.
And then they moved to the 4-rock rule, and now just this last year we've moved to 5 rocks.
And why on earth would they want to complicate the game of curling with something where you have to take off your mittens to count stones?
Well, they had Briars over the years where people would just, basically the Briar was won on the coin toss.
Yeah, we had blank end after blank end after blank end. Throw the rock in the top 4, hit. Throw the rock in the top 4, hit.
So apparently we think the score is wrong.
Yeah, they put up 3. It should only be 2.
I thought it was 2.
See if we can get a hold of an official here.
Jumper.
We're pretty sure it was just 2.
We don't need to go tell them, but if they don't figure it out in a little while.
Okay, Max says he thought he saw 3, though. Okay, so you know what? Maybe we don't know.
Maybe we don't.
Okay, so, you know, this is on tape, so somebody could roll this back and look for us. Or maybe we will. Right now, I have my crack research staff working on this. Okay, so we have. Do you just check? You just look at the tape, Mark? You sure of that? Well, I thought so too, but.
Back our webcast, it looks pretty clearly like there were 2 scored in the 4th end.
Okay, so we feel good about 2. The score indicates 3 on the ice. And coming down the ice right now, we have a we got a hit in the Bluestone, and that might end up being a double takeout. And there's one, and if you sweep it, you get the other one, you get the other one, you get the other one if you go, and you do. That's a nice shot indeed.
Very well done.
Now, the score is agreed to on the ice by the Vices, so whatever they agree to is the score.
That's true. We should keep our noses out of it.
I just work here, Ian. Okay, so right now it is South Shore sitting the 2. A couple of biters around the outside of the 12-foot. Bucks County with hammer. Sarah Fry just asked for a drink and took a header at the same time.
In case any of our viewers are curious, the overhead cams above the houses are directly above the center of the button, painstakingly positioned with the plumb bob. And so while we're not looking down on the outside edge, straight down on the outside edge of the 12-foot circle, we are looking down at the 12-foot circle at the same angle all the way around. So while it can be a little bit difficult to tell whether you have a biter or not, it's not as difficult as it might be. You got a pretty good idea of which stone is closer to the center.
And Matt, rest assured, Sarah has a beer.
Yes, indeed.
Okay then.
We've been told.
So we've had confirmation in the ice that it was agreed that it was a 3-ender in the 4th end, so that is what it is.
By definition. We now have a blue stone on the back of the button. So Bucks County is now sitting shot. 1.
And it looks like that Jane is going to call not only a run back, but at least she wants a way to look at that rock.
Yeah, if she happens to run the red back into the blue, good for her. If not, she clears the guard out of the way and opens it up for her second rock, forcing Bucks to replace that guard. This is going to over curl, but they're still going to get a piece of that red guard. They made one of their biters a little bit bigger bite, but the blue stone still stands alone in the middle of the house in scoring position.
So it looks like Lee is going to call what I like to call a counting guard. Try to throw one into about the middle of the 12-foot, that it's still a good, a counting stone, but yet covering up the rock there. And we've received some gifts from the Rutland Rocks Curling Club, which should imply that we're going to have a very good evening.
Yeah, we got condoms, I think.
I was going to say purple latex, but yes.
Yes. Hurry hard. I wonder if that's a play on words.
I don't know how much you want to hurry in that, do you?
No, I think you should relax and enjoy yourself.
I concur. So we each received 3 of these Rutland devices.
She may get a little tick off the red, but not enough to get
Not
into
enough,
the house.
yeah, not enough, and it's still wide open, so.
Leaves the shot rock exposed for red to potentially come down.
Yep, and Jane's gonna definitely take a shot at this right now.
She would tap that.
She tapped that all day, but it looks like she's going to draw to it right now.
That is draw ice.
Shout out to the fun folks at Rutland Rocks. That's hilarious.
To work pretty hard to get by that guard, Dave.
Yeah, they're on it now. I think they're going to try to wick off the corner. And they don't quite get what they wanted, so that will leave Bucks County a pretty wide open look. I think I'd come with the other turn right now.
I was thinking the same thing.
I would definitely be throwing the in turn here. A lot more real estate to work with. No guards in the way. And there we go. Now they come over to that side.
We must have been thinking awfully loudly.
But not loudly enough because it went back to the out turn.
Oh.
There's still some discussion going on between Sarah
The
and
further
Lee.
out she gets, the more concerned I get about hitting the guard.
Well, yeah, I hate this.
I confess I'm not fond of it. Especially as you mentioned earlier, Dave, that the rocks here tend to finish hard at the end, so it'll run straight for, or pretty close to straight for a while, and then come in.
Well, the good news is she threw us a little narrow.
And it's not terribly heavy. The line looks pretty good.
This could work out. This could work out. It's heavy enough. Might be down to her
by the
own.
guard.
It might be down to her own. This could be okay. Oh, sweet, hard.
Isn't that unfortunate? I thought it was by the guard, and I was wrong.
It's going to be just a single for Bucks County, so it will be South Shore leading 4-3 after the fifth end.
3 ends remain, so time's getting a little bit tighter for Bucks, but only down 1.
Indeed. And over on sheet C, it looks like Plainfield after 5 has taken a 4-1 lead. And we have a measure on sheet D occurring right now in the fifth end. And we're still waiting for the fifth end to complete on sheet A. Now, these games are on a 95-minute clock, meaning that you need to have completed the sixth end after 95 minutes to be able to throw all 8 ends. If you have not, you will finish the end that you're on and throw 1 additional end. So it does look like that the only game that the games on sheet B and C are indeed on pace to be able to throw all 8 ends if they don't dally.
A little bit of a meandering stone that lost its handle on Buck's first rock of the 6th end.
You often find a little bit of a slower pace on the 5 and under games, and a lot of that can be attributed to basic things. Some of it's not being 100% sure on the strategy.
True.
But I think a good amount of it is lost in just basic housekeeping, people being ready to deliver their rock and having a rock ready for their teammates to deliver. Things that should be instilled and something that every club works to.
First stone of the 6th end now in play for South Shore. And with Hammer, they've set up a nice first rock as a corner guard, just having crossed the 4-foot line. Traditional approach would be to make a twin of that on the other side of the sheet and then perhaps begin to draw in behind them, or clear out center guards if the Bucks team puts some blue rocks in the way in the center.
Yeah, well, the call right now is a center guard from Stephanie.
A little bit more positive handle on this one, Dave, so it should behave a little bit more predictably.
It looks like it's gonna curl up and be lovely.
That is a very, very fine 3-guard. When the sweepers are calling weight, they divide that guard zone between the hog line and the top of the house into 3 even zones. Farthest one out by the hog line is 1, middle guard is 2, and the tighter guards closer to the house are called 3 guards. It's a little shorthand, so the sweepers can tell the person holding the broom what's going on pretty quickly.
Now this stone's on the way and it's heavy, and this guard is still protected at the moment. It's going to over curl. Actually, probably be a good stone for bucks.
That's another guard.
We have guards.
I'd like to see another one.
Lee calling a draw under with Marcia here. Pretty sure she wouldn't be upset if she got a little tap up.
Or another 3 guard.
I don't hate that one bit.
First stone in the 6th end for Marcia Limlaw.
Now the 6th end, this is the end where both teams are desperately trying to score right now. So because if you can score right now in the 6th end, that is you score and then you force the other team and you have the hammer coming home in 8.
Often an advantage. Stone might have a little bit of extra fuel.
Oh, and it goes through.
It goes right on through. No harm done, though, if it had sat right on the tee line or in the right side of the 4-foot circle. It might have been a little more challenging.
So after the measure on sheet D, it was a single point for Long Island, and they trail 9-4 after 5 ends.
South Shore with a draw, and it looks to be about the same weight as the Bucks draw just was, and it's going to sail right on through the house. Still nothing counting in the 6th end, but it's early.
Lee wants to draw in again under cover. We have some strategy suggestions from Many Beers and Donald to my right.
Sweepers are trying to add a little bit of distance to Marcia's 2nd stone.
They gotta go, they gotta go. Go hard.
I don't dislike that very much.
That's not bad if you're blue.
No, indeed. Eminently tappable. And takes a big bite out of the 4-foot circle where red wants to end up. I should say a big bite out of access to the 4-foot circle.
38 viewers, that's a record for us. Pretty much everything's a record at this point, being our inaugural webcast.
That's true.
This looks pretty good for South Shore. If they drag this under cover.
They believe they've pretty well got it there already, and by golly, they're right. It does drift into the back of the house just a little bit.
That is sitting back button right now, and Lee says, just come right down on top of that.
She did hold her broom handle in 2 places, which may have indicated she wanted to try to tap the red stone a little bit. Unfortunately, that's going to be tough to do since it's over-buried.
Oh yeah, that's going to be the best you can hope for here is almost a corner freeze right now, I think.
Unfortunately, I think Sarah took the tap idea to heart and has given this just a little bit more gas than it needed. Now, if they get a tick here, that would be, well, a little bit too much of a tick. It's going to make the tap up a little tougher.
And right now, what you did with that tick is you corner hooked all of your blue rocks right now, so they're not really usable for you at all at this point. So South Shore is really in the driver's seat right now in this end. So Michelle here with her first rock. They're all over it. It looks to be real tight to the guard, real tight.
Jostle things a little bit and make Bucks' job a bit easier, but not quite enough.
That didn't help Bucks one little bit.
Not quite enough.
Over on sheet A, it's all Philly right now. It's 8-1 after 5, throwing the 6th. Kim Cooper's rank. And here our featured game, we have some weight coming down from Sarah, trying to open some stuff up just a little bit to get a way in there. And it jostles around a little bit, so it's still red sitting the 1. Raise their own up to the edge of the 8-foot circle.
I would have guessed another guard from South Shore, but I think this has draw weight.
No, I think they're coming right on in. And I don't hate this at all right now because, you know, really that was the next shot for Bucks. So why not get there first?
I agree, especially since South Shore has hammer. Bounced off the guards in the center a little bit.
But that's a
good spot.
That's a fantastic spot.
Good spot.
Because where do you go right now if you're Bucks? I mean, it just doesn't look good at all.
You could hit the longest center guard and drive one of the Blues into the shot that just came to a stop. However, that still doesn't get you to the middle of the house.
I almost like taking out the stone that was just thrown.
If you got lucky and maybe hit it a little outside nose and possibly double it, but get it out of the way. Because the draw down to freeze on the shot rock is now much easier to do now that the guards have been jostled a couple of times.
Absolutely. It looks like the call is to kind of jostle the rocks up front right now.
It may be possible if she hits the farthest guard of that cluster of 4 right on the nose. The one she hits first could spill a little bit to the right as it appears on the YouTube screen and tap the next closest blue stone into the house. But that's asking an awful lot of the geometry.
This is where we need some Russ Howard arrows.
Well, we may get there at some point. Lots of weight.
Well, that's going to do something.
It certainly is. I think it's going to hit the red guard, unfortunately.
Off the red and clear of everything. And we are back where we started. So first skip rock for Jane Souza.
South Shore with both skip rocks to throw. They've got hammer this end. Do you tap up the rock in the top 12? I really would not like to see another guard, although there's a fair bit of scoring area left.
No, I like the tap, and I think that might be the call right now.
Yeah.
Although they are all over this early, and
I tend to agree. It looks a little bit light.
gotta go, it's gotta go, it's gotta go. You gotta be there.
Well, they certainly took away making a double of the red rocks in the house.
And Ian, I don't think there's jack left for Bucks right now.
The only thing I can see, Dave, is a really wonky tap on the outside of one of the blue guards. But oh my goodness,
No.
it's really a stretch.
So Do you guard the taps, maybe?
Well, South Shore sure doesn't have to tap that double set of reds very
Yeah,
hard to
yeah,
add
I mean,
another counter.
Well, maybe if you throw like a 2 guard right in the forefoot, you make 2 a lot tougher. Make them make it draw a long tap, something tougher. Because you're never scoring here.
It certainly doesn't look very likely at all at this point.
So the brew is down.
Now this could be a guard over on the far side of the sheet, crossing the center line. Looks like guard weight.
Jeannie the triple is not there.
That may be Jeannie's husband.
Oh, hi, John. John, I still feel that walk over the Admirals Club.
Now South Shore has a choice to make. Do they tap the pair of reds on one side, or do they angle raise, well, even the drive straight back, the single red on the other side?
Well, it looks like the decision is made, Ian, that they're going to play the right side of the house as you're looking at it on the stream. And that is narrow by a ton and light.
So South Shore does score in the 6th end, but only adds 1.
Yep.
So they end up 2 with a score of 5-3 over Bucks County after 6 ends.
And we are coming down to the end of the time right now. And it appears that both sheet B and C are perfectly fine for time. And sheet D will be as well. And sheet A between Nutmeg and Philadelphia will only be able to throw 7 ends. And that's where we stand for this draw. And we will also see if our Bondsfield Committee member Ian Sheffer has remembered to turn off the hockey buzzer.
We'll turn up our ice mic a little bit and see if we hear it.
Sometimes you just finish the 6th.
We did not hear the buzzer.
And he was successful.
Time has just run out on the timer, which means that you finish the end you're in and play one more. Having just started the 7th end, our featured sheet will play all 8.
And Ryan, we may appear at Fritz's. It is the friendliest bar on earth, located conveniently in York Road in Warminster. So 7th end action underway. And 2 corner guards by both teams.
I believe the intent there was to draw underneath, but came up just a hair short. The line was pretty good. South Shore drawing the other side of the house. And looks like this one's going to go in. Fighting 8.
And Lee is calling for the hit here from Stephanie. Stephanie in her 4th year. Coming out of the southpaw hack.
She She threw just a touch outside the broom, which I think may end up working in her favor. This is curling nicely. The sweepers are on it just outside the hog line.
I'd be off of it right now. Get a good roll.
Beautiful hit. Very, very nicely done.
Nice shot. Decent roll. And on sheet C, it is a score of 2 in the 6th end, making it 4-3 in favor of Plainfield.
Quite a bit tighter game than it has been now.
Oh, absolutely. It's definitely could turn out to be a good showing there.
Flash of the hit here on B from South Shore, giving an opportunity to Bucks. Marsha Limlaw's first rock of this 7th end.
And this is a team where 2 of the members, both Marsha and Lee, are members of both Philadelphia and the Bucks County Curling Club. The Philadelphia Curling Club is located, depending on the traffic, approximately 30 to 45 minutes away from each other. Many of the founding members of the Bucks County Curling Club were members of the Philadelphia Curling Club, so we hold a special relationship with them.
Bucks has put a stone in front of the house, covering just a small fraction of the rock in the house. And South Shore is electing to draw around the pair of them.
Well, can't say I'm in love with that.
Well, it might not be what you or I would do up to after 6, but one of the things that we've learned over time is that if you call a shot that your team is less confident about, you may not get the result you're looking for.
No, and that really is the key. I mean, a big part of calling any game is calling shots that your team can execute.
I think that's an important part of one of the skip's primary responsibilities, in my view, is making sure that all the other people on the sheet want to come back for the next game. And if all they get is frustrated by missing difficult shots, that's not likely to happen. South Shore ends up with pretty close to a center line guard, way out by the hog line.
If the rock fits through the opening, it's good, right?
Bucks County now calling for a draw. If they get around the red guard, they could put this in the house behind cover.
You got to go. You got to go.
Oh, my goodness. Got to go a little bit more.
Oh, no.
However, that's going to end up in a nice spot for protecting the two that are a little bit closer.
Yeah, but there's only one that's in.
And on this curly ice, it's accessible, isn't it?
And yeah, and from where I'm sitting, I see pretty much all of that blue.
South Shore Jane now calling the hit. Stone is away. Might be a little bit tight. Gonna run the guard.
Actually, you know what? She actually tapped that. Oh, this could be.
An unfortunate result in that the shooter stays in the way and makes the access to the shot rock even more difficult. Sarah Fry sliding down the center line. Sweepers are trying to bring that stone into the side of the house. They're clear of the guards now.
Plenty of room to...
Sweeping hard. You can hear Lee calling for the sweep.
Don't know if it has a weight. Now Sarah tries to catch up to it.
It is not going to get into the house, but it is in very tappable spot. I'm thinking downweight still gets around these guards and takes the shot rock out, but...
Oh, I think that's totally there, but that's not the call that's being made right now.
No, it looks like Jane Souza is going to go after, depending on the weight, it's awfully tight to be hitting the one that was just thrown.
It looks like it's at least normal as a call, and it does come with what looks to be at least normal weight.
It's going to curl and...
Oh, that's coming hard. It's going to be on the... Wow. This could have an unexpected consequence.
Well, it moves blue a little bit farther away from the pin, but leaves them with the only rock in the house.
But indeed, the blue is not accessible easily at the moment and without a run.
They'd have to throw pretty much the same thing they just did, I guess.
So just miss it exactly the same way. And over on sheet D, Long Island is making a game of it now. It is now 9-6 after 6 ends.
That's a remarkable comeback and a wonderful effort to see curlers sticking with it.
Absolutely now. And I believe that they are good for 8 ends in that sheet.
Pardon?
I believe they are good for 8 ends in that sheet.
I don't recall when they got to the 0 point over there, but I think you may be right, just based on the number of stones that are in play already.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure A was a game that was short. So with that said, it's now a game between Triangle and Long Island on D.
The game on C has tightened up between Plainfield and Rochester. The team from Nutmeg on sheet A has been able to add 1 to get just a little bit closer, but we're still looking at a pretty wide open game with a score now of 8-2 in favor of Philadelphia on sheet A.
I do believe that's the last end on sheet A.
8-7.
We're still pretty early in the 7th end, but at some point, Nutmeg may just run out of stones. It's considered poor form in curling to continue to play when you don't have a mathematical chance of winning.
It is indeed. So Jane here trying to take out the shot stone. Got to get past the guard. It's going to wreck on her own shot.
It is. This presents a challenge to the Bucks team. Can they tap it up and avoid a double, maybe split, maybe put up a guard? We're down to skip rocks here, so just 2 stones left for Bucks. Bucks has hammered this end, of course, with South Shore scoring last end. Sorry, Dave.
No, it's okay. For myself, I like a tap here. I don't necessarily like a draw because it invites the follow down.
I concur. Unless it sits very, very high, and then you're just asking for a hit. So tap or split?
Sure. It appears that Lee's going to draw basically right to and or in front. Again, I'd like to come the other way if I could.
And then if you're wrecking on a guard, you're hitting the blue one.
Yeah, because right now you're thrown into traffic. Not a big fan of that.
I have to agree.
So we have a rock and roll theme here for the Elizabeth Childs Challenge.
Queens of rock and roll.
The Queens of Rock and Roll, and indeed, I see our very own Dan D'Amico wearing a ill-fitting blonde wig and an even more ill-fitting pair of pants.
I think I'd be sweeping this stone, Dave.
I would too, because it's all over your blues.
Well, they may get the split.
You have to go really hard, and then keep on going with the shooter, and
they
that's
get a
gonna
biter out of it.
and that's gonna work out.
That
That's
is.
That's not so bad.
It does set up a fairly straightforward double hit, double takeout.
Yeah, let's see if that's something that Jane decides to take on here.
Oftentimes, stick curlers have a reputation of being pretty good with the hits.
It does allow you to kind of basically, so to speak, reach out and touch the stone you want to hit.
Interesting here, Dave. I'm finding myself feeling the same way that you mentioned on the last shot. I'd rather see Jane throw the other handle for this. There's a very real possibility if she's just a touch wide or heavy that she wrecks on her own red guard.
Yeah, there is really not too much of a reason to throw into traffic here.
Unless she realizes that she's more comfortable with that side.
And the brushes are on it. The line looks pretty good. I think you had to get off. It looks pretty good, though.
They should have left it. They're still going to leave a blue in the house.
Yeah, they should have let it go. So it will be a shot for two for Bucks County.
Yeah, with the two guards so close together on the side there, the blue guards, there's very little way to split them both in. So
just draw for two.
Yep. And if they come down and touch their blue shot rock, they still count two. It'll be deep enough.
And this is not all the action we have for tonight. We have another draw after this.
A little something on the ice and stop to get it out of the way.
Still throwing into the guards, which I really don't get, but at the same time, you just been down this way recently, so I guess maybe you kind of think you know the weight.
Yeah, I hear you. The difficulty I have with it, though, is that they didn't miss the red guard by a whole lot on the last rock and still ended up wrecking on the blues. So if you throw a little bit more weight to try to get in there, well, I guess she had enough weight to bounce off the guards and get in the house.
Well, listening to the peanut gallery around here, they kind of agree with us, too.
Get there, girls. Get there. Get there.
Yeah. Sweep.
Come on, get on it, girls.
It feels a little bit light to me.
I think you got to go.
Come on.
Feels a little
You
bit
got to
light
go
to
get
me.
there. You can't leave it light.
Feels
You
a little
can't
bit
keep it light.
to me. You gotta go.
You gotta go.
You
gotta be full 12.
Oh my
And there it
goodness,
is.
by about a rock they make it.
And it will be two for Bucks County Curling Club.
I'm having a heart attack back here.
After 7.
A little bit of anxiety in the warm room.
After 7, the score is tied at 5. Coming home,
Man, we're coming
it'll
home,
be
baby.
South Shore with the hammer. They will have the last rock.
General Lee knew she had it all.
Very nice draw there by Lee Alexander. Well managed by the sweepers, I have to admit.
Yeah, they do better than the guys in the war room here.
And looking around the house here, Rochester has evened the score with Plainfield here. Coming home in the 8th, it is Plainfield with the hammer. Tied at 4.
Down to 3 rocks left on sheet A.
And we do have handshakes on sheet D. It does appear it was Triangle being victorious.
They made a little bit of a Bonspiel mistake in taking down their score. If you go away to play, leave your score up so that the Bonspiel organizers can record it, just in case they're not looking at the sheet at the time you finish your game.
Yeah, as a Bonspiel director, you never want to walk up to a team and ask them if they won or lost. It really kind of makes you feel like a bit of a dick.
First rock for South Shore is on the way back toward the glass. Philadelphia put up essentially a wide corner guard with their first rock.
Not exactly where you'd want to go if you're looking to steal.
I think you want to be in the middle, Dave.
Yep. And they are flying the Bucks County flag.
Good point. Stephanie Johnson in the hack for her last stone of this game. In case you haven't heard, in this Bonspiel, if there's a tie after regulation, 8 ends if you're playing them, 7 if you run a little short on time. The ties are settled by skip rocks until we get to semifinals.
And then we'll go to a full extra end to settle it. This looks to be drifting just a bit wide. The sweepers are trying to hold it, but they are not going to be able to do so.
Tough way to finish, but Stephanie's had a good game.
Absolutely, she has.
Second lead stone for Amanda Darling. Sweepers feel okay with the weight so far, and then decide they'll give it a little bit of help. Doesn't quite have the juice to get behind the corner guard, but it's actually a better corner guard, maybe a little deep.
Absolutely, it's a good shot. I believe that's actually Francesca. They did actually kind of modify their schedule as to order as to what we had officially listed originally.
I'm glad somebody's keeping track.
Yeah, well,
I will admit to a little bit of focus on the technology on this, our maiden voyage, and all commentary gear.
And I'll admit to my focus on my vodka cranberry.
Coming soon to a commentator near you.
And Marcia just a little bit narrow there on the inside. Now, what do you think of this? Calling the shot right in front of their own red. You're tied to need 1. Is this where you would go?
I think at this point I'd be drawn behind cover and trying to split the house. Fight over the rock in the open and then draw for the win. If you have to.
I kind of concur there.
This isn't enough ice to cover that rock anyway.
And we're going to see that some here in the first couple draws because
until we make believers out of people.
You're going to see some clubs that aren't accustomed to seeing this level of curl. And South Shore being an arena club, well, as we know from our own arena roots,
Indeed.
curl is quite unpredictable.
A little bit of a discussion here among the Bucks teammates about what to call. We're going to try the hit again. Coming inside out.
And Marcia is going to slide out and throw it, and that looks pretty good off her hand.
It's got to curl a fair bit.
I think it's going to be okay, I think.
A little piece. It's got to move a little bit more.
Oh!
Just a little kiss on the way by and moves the red stone a fraction.
That's a skosh unfortunate right there. So it is a win and handshakes on sheet A for Philadelphia. They prevail over Nutmeg. Congratulations to them.
On sheet C, we've got 2, possibly 3 counters in the house for Plainfield, I think.
No, Plainfield's throwing.
Plainfield has the red stones.
Yes.
All right, then Rochester is sitting 2. Plainfield throwing a hit.
That takes out one of them, and it is still Rochester sitting at 2. Plainfield with the last stone of the hammer in the 8th end.
Both of the counters are behind the tee, so if it comes to it, could be backing for a draw with the last rock.
You betcha.
But there's stones to throw before we get to the hammer.
Yep, so back to our featured game. We have Sarah Fry throwing a hit here. I believe it's a hit on the shot stone.
A lot of handle on it, which will help it to run a little bit straighter. So she's going to take out the stone in the top 12 and roll a little bit off to the side.
And we have applause in the warm room for the teams coming off the sheet A.
Did a wonderful job of entertaining us for a couple of hours on actually a rather warm late winter evening.
61 degrees today.
I was thinking that South Shore might be following your advice, Dave, and drawing one into the other side of the house, but
it looks like they are.
Well, in fact, yeah, at first I thought this rock was a little bit heavy, but I'm wrong again.
All right, so right now, if I'm Bucks, I'm going to lay down right on top of that stone.
I think sitting right there, freezing if you can.
And the call appears to be about a board weight shot.
Tap that back a little bit.
Yeah.
Bumping on through.
Yeah, back line-ish, just through. I don't hate this.
Fair bit of curling to do, but it has begun. Let's make it a good
Oh,
effort.
you gotta go, you gotta go, you gotta
This
go.
needs to be swept. I agree, Dave. Boy, that's
Yeah, you lost this one.
that was not anywhere near near
No,
the
was
weight
not.
that was needed,
Not
unfortunately.
nearly enough weight. No.
I don't think it takes that shot away.
No, it doesn't. Now it's going to be more of a draw, I think, to get there. But South Shore is going to call a guard to cover that up, because why not? Because you're sitting 1 and 2 right now. All you got to do is get one.
That extension felt like more than guard weight.
That looks heavy as heck.
But we'll see what happens. If it'll be unfortunate for South Shore if they end up pushing the blue stone deeper into the house.
It's going to curl past the blue, I do believe.
It is.
But it's going to make a heck of a pocket, I think. Actually,
that's to rest in the top 4.
Actually, that's pretty damn good.
It's not a bad result at all for South Shore.
Look over on sheet C. Rochester is sitting 1, 2, and 3 against Plainfield right now. Plainfield has a way into the 4-foot, but Rochester's going to try to cover that up right now.
Last rock for Rochester. Plainfield has the hammer to follow. First of the 4 skip rocks on sheet B, Lee Alexander. Getting into the hack.
Absolutely perfect guard out of the Rochester skip on C. Looks really tough for Plainfield right now. Let's see what Lee's doing. She's calling a hit.
Fair bit of weight. Looks like the broom was in a good spot.
They're on it hard.
They are. It's not going to wreck on the guard. Gets by, but does not stick around. So South Shore is in a position of having to put something else in the way. Lee Alexander's Bucks team has 1 stone left. And Jane Sousa is about to throw the first of her 2. Call is to put something in the way. Protect that shot rock in the back 4.
That's pretty much what you have to do right now.
Looks very close to a repeat of the last rock. Maybe curling a hair more. Well, that leaves a little bit of an opening for Bucks.
There's a little bit of a pocket. You're going to have to weld it right on in there if you got any kind of a shot. So, and we just had a fantastically lucky 500 shot on sheet C with all kinds of ricochets to get Plainfield the win. I caught just the end of that, but it was enough to say, wow.
Gracious handshakes and congratulations.
And some muttering underneath.
Probably a little bit of that too. But outwardly, good sportsmanship. Sportspersonship.
Well, we've all been on both sides of that at some point.
Yeah, I guess that's why you got to go out and play the games. You never know what's going to happen.
That's correct. So here we go. Lee has a damn tough shot to make right now. Sarah has the broom.
Middle of 12?
Yeah, middle 12. Marcia and Stephanie ready to brush it down. And
Stones
we're away a bit narrow.
Extremely narrow. We might have a tap here, though.
It's on the guard for sure, but does it have enough steam left? And I don't think so.
Unfortunately, no.
And that will be handshakes and a win for the South Shore Curling Club. Congratulations to South Shore, Skip Jane Souza, third Michelle Landry, second Amanda Darling, and lead Francesca Jestings. And that will do it for this draw of the Bucks County Curling Club. We thank you very much, and we'll be back with you again shortly.
Thanks very much, Dave, for helping me out with the maiden voyage of our commentary gear here.
More than happy to do it.
Thanks for listening and watching, and we will talk with you again very soon.